Hey everyone, welcome back to the Dope Black Chick podcast. Today's conversation is about transition, the kind that happens after you've built something meaningful. Today I have Karimah Westbrook, who has spent 8 seasons on the CW's All American, yay,
Six.
becoming part of a story that resonated with so many viewers. And now as that chapter comes to a close, she's stepping into something new. Her Tubi series, Dreamhouse. So this isn't just about a new project, it's about evolution, it's about recognizing when a season has fulfilled its purpose and having the courage to expand. So Karimah, welcome to the Dope Black Chick podcast. I'm really glad that you are here.
Thank you, Kimberly, for having me. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, Karimah, first of all, I am genuinely excited for this conversation. 8 seasons on All American.
Well, technically, six season. The show has gone
Show has
to
run 8 seasons. Okay.
a season. Yep, and I directed episode season 7, and there's some stuff happening in season 8, which I can't give away. But technically, me on there as Grace James as a series regular, 6 seasons.
Well, awesome. 6 seasons is good too.
Yeah,
And
no matter.
that's not just a role. That's a chapter of life. Like that's
Yes.
nearly a decade of becoming, evolving, stretching, growing on screen and off. And now you're closing that chapter while simultaneously you're stepping into something new with Dreamhouse, which when I saw that part, I really was like, I was piqued, not just as an actress, but as a creator, a writer, a producer. So that is extremely powerful. And I want to start there. So my first question to you is, 6 years at All American, when the cameras finally stop rolling for good, what do you think you're going to grieve?
I think everyone there, I feel that it felt like a family, after being there, seeing everyone's faces. I'm definitely gonna miss the boys, Spencer and Dylan. Well, those are characters' name, but
Hmm.
Daniel and Jalen develop a very, close bond to them, playing their mom for 6 seasons. And so I'm definitely gonna miss them and, our time on set. But the show in general, I just really love the storytelling. I thought that it was very impactful to our youth, and I appreciated that. And I was very honored to be a part of something like that, that was a positive influence on the youth and the stories that they told. So I'm going to mourn, I think, just the whole experience, cast, crew, and just to be a part of something I felt was very special in the sense that it definitely had its impact on our youth, on people in general. But I really like the fact that it fed our youth in a way where it delivered messages without being like message. It was
Hmm.
just like you enter learning by watching the experience, and I thought that they did the writers did a great job of doing that.
Yeah. And what part of the role lives inside of you that you're going to miss? Like what part of the role that you played? Because what I liked about you, your character, was, just being that safe space for
Mhm.
him, that steady anchor
Yeah.
that could figure it out. When everything else felt like it was spiraling, like you would sit him down, like, hey, look, this is what you're gonna do. This is, reminding him and affirming him. And I love that type of structure, having someone to steady you in in hard times. I feel like I'm that person in my friend group, and so when I saw that, I was like, yeah, that I love that character.
Yeah.
So what sticks with you? What part of that role sticks with you?
I think, I mean, similar to what you were saying, that being there for them, being that anchor, being very grounded. And I thought that they wrote some good kids for me. I had some great kids. They were very
Hmm.
well behaved.
Hmm.
Outside of getting into little fights in school, I had it pretty good. It's a pretty good, pretty great kids. And so, What I loved about, Grace is that, she was definitely about community and, bringing everyone together, unity, and was able to, admit her faults. And I think that, they definitely created a very, lovely mom who wasn't a pushover, but also was just very loving. So I'm just going to miss, all the love that she gave to everyone, was very welcoming to, whether it was to Coop, to Preach,
Right.
to whomever, and was a problem solver. I'm gonna miss, all of those elements.
Yeah. So let's talk about this next chapter. You're stepping into Dreamhouse. You're expanding your creative control and you're
Mhm.
moving behind the camera in deeper ways. Does this new chapter for you feel like a risk or a return to yourself?
It feels like a return to myself. I've always been a creator, even before I booked All American. I just didn't have as many resources, or I didn't have any money, that's for sure. Uh, to be able, like, but I've always been creating little projects.
Right.
They just never made it anywhere. I've done short films, and so it's a return to myself. I think now I have learned a lot more from working on the show in regards to how I could approach,
Mm,
creative endeavors. So that was very beneficial. And so I've just been applying. Now I have a little more wisdom in that arena in regards to what it takes and how you could effectively run a show, okay, when you're working with so many different people and have it run smoothly.
yeah. I'm glad that you brought that up because that's interesting. I know in a conversation with my friend group just this past Galentine's Day,
Mhm.
we're all talking about like we have all these years of experience and so many different lanes, but we know how to do things. And sometimes there is that confusion of I know how to do it, but now I'm older and now I know I'm wiser about how to do it. I know how to do it smarter now.
Yeah.
And so, what part of you, I guess, has to get, I think there's a switch there when we have to assess our experience, and what part of you gets quieter so that you can understand and apply that so that that next version is louder and on point.
A part of me gets quiet. I think I've always been a very observant person, and I knew the landscape was changing a lot within the industry in regards to streaming and just more opportunities for people to independently create and actually build something from that,
Right.
to be able to generate and create work for themselves. So I think that the part of me that gets quiet, I think as I'm learning something new, I mean, that's definitely the time where I'm more quiet and observing. When I started to direct, it was definitely a new craft for me, something I
Mhm.
had never even really have been thinking, it wasn't on my radar at all, but I love it and I think it's a fascinating craft. So in those times, I think with me learning something new is a time where I'm definitely quiet, but also trying to figure out what's happening within our industry and what could I do to position myself to continue to work, whether somebody hires me or not.
Right.
So I think it's just paying attention really to what's happening as best as I can,
Mhm.
looking at the landscape, looking who's buying what, who's dropping who's, shutting
Right.
down. And there's a lot of transitions happening in our industry for sure.
Definitely, which we're going to touch on that a little bit later in the conversation. You've built a career in front of the camera and you carried this role for 6 seasons. You've navigated visibility, expectation, and pressure. Now you're claiming more authorship over your narrative. So when you think about stepping further into creative control, which, like you said, I've always been a creator, writing, producing, what fear had to die for you to say, yes to that expansion, like to say it's time. This is my time.
I think my biggest fear was worrying about what people would think of stories, whatever stories I would tell. There was always a little bit of wondering, what people would think about the stories that you tell.
Mhm.
Not enough fear to stop me from doing anything, but definitely just a wonder. And I think I don't even know if it's a fear, it's just a more of a that uncertainty, wondering how it will be received. Let me think of a fear. Um,
Well, I think that might be the right word, is the uncertainty. Sometimes it's like it's not necessarily fear, it's caution, because you're
mhm.
just uncertain. And it's a
Yeah,
lot of women who are standing at the edge of that. Like they have this great idea, but they're just kind of like, how would it be perceived, or how would it be received? Um, is it worth, stepping out on? And moment, it's just like it feels like you're being cautious.
yeah.
And so there's a little fear there that it won't work out, but then it's not necessarily enough, like you said, to keep you from doing it. But it does give you pause, I'll
Yeah,
say.
you just kind of wonder, and also, the landscape for me looking at it is so flooded, right? And I mean, there's a lot of content out there, and you just wonder, like, will people see it? Will it make a difference? Will my intentions be met based off of
Mm.
why I'm doing it? Again, none of those things it was enough to make me be like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. But it was definitely kind of like, well, we gonna see, you know what I mean? There's only one way to find out,
That's
it's just
it. That's the
like,
thing.
so
Like, because the truth is that we do have those thoughts. We all have those thoughts. But as you said, it's not enough to stop me. It's the
yeah,
thought. I do have the thought. So I want, the reason I'm bringing that out is because I know that there are women that are there, and I don't want them to think that that thought means don't do it. That thought
no.
is it's natural, it's normal, it's what everybody experiences. But like you said, like we're gonna find out. Let's find out the answer to this question. I don't know the answer to this question, but doing it will give us the answer, right?
That's the only way to find out, right? I mean, that uncertainty is always gonna be there, but you gotta take that leap of faith, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about Dreamhouse. Let's talk about that. We touched on living in a creator economy. That's where we are. I've talked actually, if for the listeners of the show, if you've been following for a while, I talked about creator economy about 3 years ago. And I was like, hey guys, that IP is important. It's important, right? So
Mhm.
we're here where people are beginning to recognize the importance of the creator. And the landscape is shifting, ownership matters, voice matters, creative control matters. So
Mhm.
for you, what does it mean to you as a black woman in this industry to not just perform the story, but shape the story?
What it means to me, creative freedom for sure. And also, it's a signal for me. I'm not waiting for someone to create something for me or to give me a job. I think it's being very proactive towards what it is that I want. Yeah, it means being as self-sufficient and proactive about my business. Because as an artist, you got to look at yourself as a business. You are a business, and it's kind of like, well, how can I generate more business for myself? How can I get my business going? So I'm kind of looking at it in that same regard. It's
Hmm.
like if I was a restaurant owner, it's like, what products, what food am I serving? How am I going to bring clients in or give them a taste of what I have, for lack of a better word, but way of describing it. But I think it's me being proactive about what it is I'm setting out to do, you know. And so to me that means everything because I'm not waiting for someone to make that happen.
Yeah, not waiting for permission.
Hmm.
And you talked about being very intentional about, your move and the stories that you're telling. So tell us about Dream House and how that coincides with your intentionality here in storytelling?
Well, Dreamhouse is an anthology series. Each story is could fall under a different genre. Well, they do fall under different genre. Most of them are dramas, but we have like a thriller, we have like a little comedy. And this actually came about from me being in a directing program. And directing is like a new craft for me. And I'm still learning a lot about it. But I knew, same with acting, how could I create an opportunity for myself, you
Mm,
know? Because All American hired me as a director, I directed 2 episodes for them, but how am I gonna get other people to hire me? And do I just wait? I mean, I definitely wasn't thinking about just gonna wait for somebody else to hire me.
right.
It's me with that thinking of like, I'm gonna hire myself. I'm gonna create something and I'm going to direct it and I'm gonna produce it. And I wanna position myself where I can create more episodes where I can continue to direct. So that was kind of like my thinking behind it. So I've always been, this was a collaborative effort. So once I finished this directing program, I reached out to some of the other mentees that were in the program to say, hey, do you guys want to create something? At the time, I was thinking about positioning myself so I can get into the PGA because, I am a creator and I write. And I feel like every time I would bring a project, sometimes I would bring a project to my team, and they're like, we got to find a producer. And I'll be like, damn it, I am a producer. So I had this thing in my mind of wanting to prove I could produce something viable. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to produce like 6 episodes. Because at the time when I was reading the qualifications in order to join the PGA, I think it was 6 shorts. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. And so that was kind of like my approach. And I'm like, okay, so create 6 pieces.
Mhm.
My particular shorts or episodes I would call in Dreamhouse that I wrote and directed. I kind of look at my own personal experiences. I like storytelling where I like all types of storytelling, but I really love the element of the host being able to bring perspective. I don't know if you've seen it, so not to ruin it, but like to create something that has people thinking. And we have a character on the show, the host, who offers kind of like a tag to each episode. So he offers
Okay.
perspective behind what you just saw.
Like the Rod Sterling
Yeah,
situation.
like Rod
Okay.
Serling. Yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
those
yeah.
kind of shows.
So we have, and I felt like, that would give room to as well to be able to talk about have a lot of different stories.
Mhm.
So the concept is that, each guest who check into the dream house, they can write down a question and the answer to their question will come to them in their dream. That's the power of this house. So, you have people from all over, coming in with their most pressing life questions. And, I think the show offers food for thought. There's a lot of thoughts around dreams. Do they mean something, do they not mean something? But also I think, again, using the host as a voice of offering different little tidbits, wisdom per se,
Mhm.
I think is a nice little touch.
That sounds so good. When is this available? When can we watch it? When does it start streaming on Tubi? Is it
it's,
already?
it's streaming on Tubi
My goodness. Okay, so girl, you got to be loud about that. So I
now.
love this. No, this is a great concept because especially for my audience because we do talk about dreams. We talk about, the significance of what your subconscious is really showing you. And
Mhm.
so a show like this is and I'm a Twilight Zone
Nice. Okay.
fan.
Yes.
So
There you
these
go.
things together are sound like an amazing mash of genres that I love, but then also when you think about the thought process, um, for me that the deeper understanding of dream work and things like that. This is a really, really great show. It's called Dream House. The
Yes.
series is currently available on Tubi.
Yes.
So tell me a little something. When you do the series on Tubi, are you going to do a second season or is it just this was what I was thinking about in that package, and then I'm coming back with something else.
Well, that's the plan. That's the plan to be able to continue to create these stories for sure.
Okay, and how can we show our support for you besides just watching it, but like show our support for the series and to make sure that the network is paying attention and they're like, "Hey, they want more of this." How do we do that for you?
That's actually a good question. I mean, outside of, watching it, I think, just helps for me to be able to prove like, hey, there is interest in the show, people are watching it. You can you give me some more money to do it again? So I mean, that's the only thing I could think of is just I would just say just watching it, and if you like it, shares, spread the word, suggest it. It's been getting pretty good feedback so far, which is actually nice. I'm just yeah. So yeah, I would say watch it and share it. If you want to leave a review, you can leave a review. Anything will help because what I plan to do is just try to use that as evidence, viewership, to use it as evidence to support that people are watching it. There is interest, and in hopes that it'll help getting support with producing more episodes.
Yeah. Well, if you could whisper something to the woman you were when you first booked All American, knowing everything you know now, what would you tell her?
Who? Don't take it personal. Yeah, don't take it personal. I think I would say two things. Don't trip and don't take it personal. I think there's just so many different moving parts in the industry, and there's so many different people and personalities, and you know, it's a lot to process, I think, after, a while. And a lot of times the stuff don't even be having anything to do with you. I mean, maybe they
That
do,
part.
but a lot of times they don't. And I think that you would alleviate a lot of stress or sadness or whatever if you just focus on what you are there to do, what you came there to do, and just not take it personal, take things personal. I think that would be my biggest advice to myself, is not to take things personal.
I think that's good advice for a lot of us, not to
Mhm,
take it personal. I thank you for your honesty, your
mhm.
depth, and your willingness to evolve in public. This isn't just a career transition, it's an expansion. We wish you the best on that. And
Thank
I
you.
think that's what resonates the most is the courage to grow beyond where you were and it felt like enough or where we may be. So, to everyone listening, if you feel that quiet sense of growth, if that subtle awareness that you're ready for something new and you're feeling that, I don't want you to dismiss it. Completion is not failure, evolution is not instability. Now, I worry about that sometimes. Expansion is not betrayal of what came before, it's all growth. And I thank you guys. I thank you, Karima, for being here and adding to that conversation. I
Yeah,
wish you the best with Dreamhouse, available now, streaming right now on Tubi. So y'all make
yes.
sure y'all go tune in and let's
Thank
support her. Let's tag her. Let's do all the things and cause a ruckus so they know that we love what we're seeing. I thank you so much. And to all of my listeners, stay dope. Peace and blessings.